We are on a mission to save and revitalize independent pharmacy. On the Catalyst podcast, we dive into current events that are shaping how pharmacists approach their patients and their businesses. Fuel your passion for pharmacy, one conversation at a time.
3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition.
Welcome to the Catalyst Pharmacy Podcast. I am your host, Mark Bivins, Vice President of Sales at PioneerRx, and today I'm here with Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh Howland, Vice President of Clinical Strategy.
Today we're here with Staci Hubert, owner of Ashland Pharmacy, but also the 2020 CPESN Luminary of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
I know, right? So, but you're also involved in like so many other things. I think you're on the like PSAO board of Cardinal. I know you're in NCPA, your state. All of that, almost everything. But really, you guys have, the one thing I wanted to highlight, if you've grown, like, not just you and a lot of other smart people in pharmacies have grown that CPESN group in Nebraska from 0 to 50 plus or something like that, right?
It was a great team effort, and it's been a great ride. I mean, probably one of the most professionally rewarding, avenues and journeys that I've taken. And I was, as people know me, I was like, if people ask me to do stuff, I say, yeah. Like even today, podcast.
Oh, man, you both.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. And I'm like, what am I doing? Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm doing a podcast.
We talked about that. Yeah, that's so good. Me and you both.
I did a podcast with just audio with Joe Moose, and it was fun just talking. And of course I talk too much because I'm always blah, blah, blah. But it's kind of nice to be able to see your face to say, oh, okay, I'm like a more of a conversation.
Yeah, I feel like
the
you
video
connect
makes
a
it
little
more
better.
engaging.
Even if you didn't use the video, like if you were just going to do the audio, I do feel like there's something there on the video side that to keep you both like, because sometimes you can't, when you're talking, you can't understand how it's always landing. Right. And then you get that visual feedback.
Well, and I've done 30 hours of CE this month because my license expires in about 3 days.
Are you running up the
But, one of the things that it works out is, and APHA has done a pretty good job of retooling this, and I often don't sing their praises because they often don't deserve it. But their CEs have gotten pretty good, and like the videos they used to just do like a slide and like an audio track over it, but a lot of the newer ones they've done the slide with the video, and it helps to actually watch a human talk because it's mind-numbing to do 30 hours of CE in 1 month. Also, I know I should have spread it out evenly over 2 years.
Before you start in on me.
But I also know that every pharmacist listening to this does 30 hours the month before their...
Yeah.
Well, and, trade shows actually hurt that. I used to get all my CEs at trade shows.
Oh, that's so true. That's true. There's usually always some CE classes at all those places.
I think it's important, and they have it at almost every trade show, is the APHA is the immunization. And you can get so many CEs. So same thing. My pharmacist went and got her 20 hours, 10 hours homework and then back in the trade show. So I think that hurt us during COVID this last year is because people that maybe were interested in doing immunizations, it's hard to, slice that time up and try to find it at home. But if you're going to a trade show and, it's kind of a no-brainer.
Well, and
it's better to do it live.
Yeah, and the APHA trade show, they actually do the whole shebang. You do your 10 hours at home, you get 10 hours there, and then you get CPR certified that afternoon.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Wow. Okay, so yeah, they were cranking some out then. Yeah, every year. That's true. That's true. And think about just the conference or trade show impact, how it could have affected other folks that could have gotten more comfortable to do more vaccines or tackle it faster.
Testing,
yeah,
same thing,
all of that. That's true.
Right.
That's a good point.
Well, hopefully next year.
Staci dropping knowledge. I know you're a graduate from the University of Nebraska. I know you're a Cornhusker. Josh is a Longhorn, so don't.
In Iowa.
Oh, okay.
So Iowa. I grew up in Iowa, small town. I had a great role model. I ended up babysitting at any small town. You start babysitting and trying to get out of detasseling corn, et cetera. So that's Midwest issues we have. But, in a small town, you're out for every sport. And it just kind of continued, that small town feel. If they ask you to be in the youth group, you do the youth group. If you do this softball, you do softball. So I started babysitting for the pharmacist in town. And so he was an awesome example of what you want to be in your community. I was leaning towards healthcare and science anyway. Science and math were kind of my jam in high school.
Cool.
And so I'm like, hey, I want to do either physical therapy or pharmacy. And I said, can I just come sweep your floors, or do anything? And he was so generous with his time and just with the whole community. I could just observe a great pharmacist in a small town being really the local provider that my mom would say, hey, Staci's has a fever. What can I do? How much can I give? So just growing up in a small town and seeing such a great example of what a pharmacy, that's what I thought pharmacy was. Like he was the healthcare provider in town. So the one that you can touch and feel and come and ask and say, okay, what can I do for my kid? So I just saw the benefit of how much a rewarding experience that he loved it. Like I felt like he loved to come to work. I could see his, he helped special needs people would walk in. Okay, he'd give them a job. Okay, you can scoop or sweep or whatever. Oh, cool. So just that integral part of small town is what I loved. And it kind of went full circle, to be honest. I started babysitting, did the whole pharmacy thing. Got out of detasseling corn, which was awesome to be in the pharmacy.
We'll have to come back to this. I don't know what detasseling corn is.
I don't technically know what that means, to be honest.
I don't think anymore it's even around because they have like machines that cut off the tops. It's like, so it doesn't cross-pollinate.
Okay.
I'm not a farmer either, but I just knew that it paid well and you could do it early and you could still go to softball practice.
Noted.
So that's what I did.
All right, gotcha.
So I started doing pharmacy and I got into pharmacy school right away, and went to work for the big chain just to get a job. Worked at the nuclear pharmacy. I was married at that point, and ended up having my first son in first year of pharmacy school. Not recommended, but that's kind of what I did.
Yeah, we always judged mental stability for the ladies in class who did that in ours. Like, I don't know how you did it.
Right, you're young. I think you have a lot more energy and you just do what you do, so a good supporting staff is what you got to look at. Good husband, good sister, family.
Right. I was like 23 and I could barely feed myself.
Yeah. No one would have trusted me.
Got your mac and cheese.
Yeah, I definitely shouldn't be allowed to have a human at 23.
Yeah, barely now. I mean,
yeah, it's debatable today.
That's what happens, I guess. So, I went from nuclear pharmacy, probably not conducive to having a pregnant female pharmacy student, went to the hospital, oncology, that kind of thing, graduated. And one of the pharmacists at that hospital actually said, hey, I just bought a little pharmacy in Ashland. And I said, Ashland? I don't even know where that's at. It's in Nebraska because I was an Iowa girl.
Right.
So I just took a drive out and that's where it started. So started working for them and worked into ownership.
Nice. So what first? Sounds like you ran the gamut you've probably seen almost pharmacy in every setting, and it sounds like.
Yeah. Yep. I loved it. But my true passion I found was the small town community pharmacy. I had other job opportunities in the cancer center and, just for long-term and sustainability for my personality, it was definitely going back to the small town community.
My needs, right? I gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. So I'm interested in that piece. So right out of, I guess, pharmacy school, you start working at Ashland and you stayed there and now you own the store. And so for a lot of folks that listen to this, I think we have pharmacists out there that are probably looking like, how do I exit? And I'm probably not handing this down to a family member. Or in your shoes when you were younger, how do I get into this? And I'm sure that timing has to work out in that way. But I guess, can you talk a little bit about how do you structure something like that, or how do you begin the conversation?
Yeah, and I think it's really the passion. And I always tell, I was a big part in trying to help with women in pharmacy, Cardinal Health. I was on the National Retail Board. And they had the same dilemma. You have all of these 70-year-old men that own the pharmacies and independents. And what are you going to do with your store if your kids are not going to take over? And it was getting disheartening for them because they were back in the good old days where you got cash payment. You just could pay your bills and not have to worry about a third party. And it really came to be like the majority of pharmacy. Like, I don't know about your class, Josh, but what percentage of your class was female versus male?
I was probably more like 70-30 female.
Yeah. And it's even gotten more, I feel. So a lot of those 30% men, there's 70% to choose from to go work part-time, go work in a good pharmacy. If you find the right person, you need those women as well as men. I mean, I kind of say both of them, to have to give them the power and the foresight to say, hey, this is something you can do and you can enjoy, you can have a great life. And there's stresses, let's be honest.
Oh,
but
sure. Yeah.
Just to give the empowerment to women to say, you can do this. Like, you don't have to be an accountant. I don't have to be a banker. I don't have to be a marketing gal. I can just hand that over to people that are good. So you surround yourself with good people, that's what you got to do. So you just got to really, for independence, I have a true passion to try to get people to say, hey, look at me. I did it. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. You're better than I am and you can do it. So that's what I tell people.
Oh, I love that. That's so good. I was kind of talking back and forth with Josh a little bit about that. And you're right. There just seems like there's this, at the moment, I wouldn't call it a bubble. I don't really know. I'm not an expert there, but this group of folks that are looking to try to like exit in some way, just because it's time, they're trying to retire, whatever, or it's just changed so much and they're trying to retire. So you probably get to teach a lot of those pharmacists that are coming in through classes. I think you have a pretty big preceptor program. Is that right?
Yeah, I have a great pharmacist that has taken over really the preceptor part of it. And she's, like I say, hire smart people, smarter than you. You have surround yourself with good people. And really, I think that gave me, I don't know, I felt like if you're in the pharmacy, and a lot of independents feel this way, that your own little problems. Oh, it just must be Ashland, Nebraska. I'm a small pharmacy. This is probably just why this is happening. And then you'd start reaching out and talking to other independents, and we're all in the same boat. Like, we all have the same struggles. And when I was joining the national, they asked me to be on the National Retail Advisory Board for Cardinal Health. It really, I felt like I learned so much from that whole group of people. Good. I mean, there were so many great owners, and yeah, 90% of them were men and above 65. But they gave you, that encouragement and saying that, yeah, even though they're way bigger than Ashland Pharmacy, they still have the same problems. So,
yeah, I wish there was a way to kind of conveniently filter that back down, because pre-pandemic, all of us on the Pioneer leadership team, we traveled to see a lot of pharmacies, and a lot of them have this feeling of like, oh, well, like, I have this special problem and it only exists with me. And then you go like down the street to the same place, a different place, and like exact same special problem, and it exists all over the place. Maybe different forms of that special problem, but it's a universal, like, hey, this is a problem with all independent pharmacy.
I know, it's crazy and I think that's what NESP and CPESN, from that board, I learned that, hey, there's a great group out of North Carolina that's trying to get, and in pharmacy school, you're spoon-fed, say, hey, you're going to do all these services. And I knew we were, because I'd seen a great pharmacist in action.
Nice.
But you're kind of getting paid. I kind of always felt when I first started that you're getting paid dispensing fees, and that's what you're doing. You're getting paid for the service and the drug. Well, as it kept paring down, you're not getting paid for the services. And the light came on when I was going to take over partnership and buying out my last partner, who was like my dad. Love him to death, but I'm like, it's time to go. You need to retire and enjoy it. But anyway, at the same time, it was kind of coming to a head that what can I do to make sustainability? Like, if I want to do this the rest of my career, how am I going to keep Ashland Pharmacy alive and have healthcare in my local town that I love so much? So it just kind of, the light bulb came on and said, hey, reach out to the other ones. It's just like you said, Josh, to go down the street and say, okay, what are good pharmacies here? Can I talk to, I had women in pharmacy owners that I started out with, and I said, I'm just going to expand it and see what the reach is out there. How many people would like to join this group? And I'm not a salesperson, so it was kind of hard for me to just cold call people and say, hey, do you want to join this new group? And they're like, what are you talking about?
What are you doing? Right. Yeah. What are you doing?
So it was a struggle to begin with, but the great leadership, I mean, Nebraska had already started. Kim Galt, actually I called up Mark McCurdy to kind of have a shout out for my leadership team. I started out with Mark McCurdy, and And he says, yeah, we're doing kind of hypertension and diabetes prevention right now through a grant for the state of Nebraska. And I'm like, whoa, this is what we're leading for. Can we just kind of join forces? And he's like, yeah, the great grant writer is Kim Galt from Creighton University,
nice.
College of Pharmacy. So it recruited her because she has that background of getting grants, really trying to get data. She's kind of a huge, which I'm not. I'm like, okay, let's just do it. I don't understand why we can't just do this. But so she was kind of the X and O's, like, okay, we can put this data together. We can join forces with the grant. And then Mitch Dinas, from her, she had already reached out. She had done a lot of work on saying, other people in the community all across the state of Nebraska, which I had no idea who they were. Hey, do you want to join this group? And that's how it started, basically. We just kind of put these great group of pharmacies that were already doing involved in that grant and started at the Nebraska CPESN.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's interesting, though. You mentioned that you brought in a grant writer from Creighton. Like one of the things that I've seen across a lot of the Flip the Pharmacy and the other cohorts is that, the first couple of those guys, it was all desire and people trying to do cool stuff. And then the ones that ended up being really successful about how to organize and plan it were at least partnered with the university in their area. Like Arkansas, again, partnered with, UAMS.
That's where I was going with that. I was going to go that way.
And PPCN in Pennsylvania, both heavily, at least supported by their local universities. And for someone who is a little skeptical of academics. She had already done it. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So I feel like if you're in either Flip the Pharmacy or CPESN, or in your region, if you don't have a strong grant writer or relationship with the university side of things, should you? I don't know.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Because most of us are pharmacy owners and we're doing our own thing. We kind of know the background, but you need somebody that really loves data, loves to be able to reach out and say, how much are you increasing your care plans, and really staying on task. Because my passion was, okay, if we're helping people and, let's get the money to help support our pharmacies to change, like Flip the Pharmacy. How are we going to change a sustainability model to keep local pharmacies alive? And so you really need those people of expertise. So I felt I had it because I had great pharmacies with Mitch Dinas out of Beatrice and Mark McCurdy out of Cambridge.
Okay.
And then Tom Koch, I found him, and he's a huge part of Flip the Pharmacy for being our coach. So you need all types. You need people that need to reach out, but you also need people behind the scenes, like the Walton Roy for the Disney, you need a Walt and you need a Roy. So
no doubt.
Right.
No doubt. Yeah. Well, you guys are getting some traction. So I guess you guys have, like you said, I think over 50 locations in CPESN now in Nebraska, and I think you're kind of excited about some state opportunities you might. And what's the state appetite for working with pharmacies like you?
I think it's really been good. Like the grants that we had started with Kim was a state grant.
Okay.
Now, was it pharmacy and healthcare related and Medicaid? Not necessarily, but it kind of works hand in hand. So we started out with that. Like, how could we even get this group going? Can we have some funds to make it a clinically integrated network? Can we have some funds to help with software, to help integrate with Pioneer and other software programs to make it in the workflow? How are we going to keep this up? Like, you can say little tally mark, I did this, and this, and if you didn't do it, you didn't do it. So, and then really I was the one that would go and reach out to the different groups. And at the same time, Nebraska and other states probably in the same way, it went from state of Nebraska, I can just go talk to Medicaid provider to MCOs. So they're like, we love what you're doing, but now you have to talk to 3 other companies that are nationwide and they're wanting to save money, not
spend more money. Right.
So you have to really kind of show them that your service is going to save them money. And so it's kind of we're taking care, and every pharmacist knows that the high needs are maybe the underprivileged, they don't have the money to do it. So they do end up being on a Medicaid system. We're taking care of them anyway. but can we keep them out of the hospital and save our taxpayer money? So it's both ways. You know,
Right.
we help our patients, which is our number one goal. And that's always what I've said. If you keep your patient in the forefront, you're going to do some good things. And the money will follow later. And that's what I really, truly feel, that I have a passion to take care of the patients, but then we need to be able to have a pharmacy to take care of those patients. And how can we do that? Save money. We're going to show our worth. We're going to save you money, and by paying us a little bit to really focus in on this group of population in our communities.
Right.
So have you found like the managed care organizations really looking at total cost of care now more than they have been? You know, because historically everybody was, you know, penny wise and pound foolish on pharmacy, where I'm going to switch somebody from this diabetes drug to, you know, metformin that you have to take 3 grams of a day, when, you know, sometimes, you know, metformin's a great drug, right? I won't debate that part.
Right.
But, you know, sometimes it's more, if a patient's going to take a drug that's better for them and they spend more money, but they lower their cost of care, it makes way more sense. But when you split that between, I only care about hospital or only care about medical and only care about pharmacy, it's the wrong choice. Right.
Well, and that's what Joe Moose in North Carolina had started saying, hey, let's look at the big picture. Why are we doing that for just the little slice of, you know, pharmacy versus, it's almost like they pitted each other against each other, pharmacy versus healthcare. And it's really an integrated part. So.
Yeah. Even from talking for Troy, when we had Troy on, it seems like the appetite's getting, or at least the foresight seems to be there now to go, look, you can turn the dial a little bit to the right for pharmacy, spend some money and services there in order to really watch the gauge come down on healthcare spend.
Well, and Troy's been a great, I mean, I have his cell phone number. He's able to really talk to me. Now, first of all, you just have to be the one that knocks on everyone's door, like the MCOs. You get in the pharmacy side, but you really want the medical director, right? On those MCOs. So just bugging them, setting up appointments, calling them. I have to say, I probably was a pest. If you had an interview from them, they're like, Staci Hubert, oh gosh.
Oh my goodness, right. Well, we'll have to follow up and do some research.
But, you know, one of the best things happened was I had a great relationship with a pharmacy provider or pharmacy director, and they ended up leaving, or he was without a job. So I said, hey, I had this great contract going. I need to talk to the medical side because it was part of that health savings. And so I talked to them. They know, they get it. Like the medical directors totally saw it. So that's where we're at right now, is we're really close on getting this Medicaid MCO, because the medical director said, yeah, that makes sense. So when they hired the new pharmacy director, they're like, we want this.
Nice.
And so now that you have the state involved and the medical director, you know, this paves the way for a better contract.
Well, that's good. So you say you're not a salesperson.
I am not.
You sound a lot like
sound a lot like something Mark would
like
do.
someone who's pretty good at sales. I get it.
No, you just have to be if you're passionate about what you want. I mean, I can't sell anything that I don't.
Right.
You know,
no,
really have
100%. Yeah. You any salesperson really honestly can't sell anything. The evil ones can.
Yeah. I've got a couple of car dealers that I can introduce you to.
Yeah, the evil ones can. For sure.
Exactly.
Well, man, it just sounds like y'all are doing such cool stuff over there. You're also one of, and I know we kind of, I wouldn't say we really beat this over the head yet, but we've talked a lot about COVID and COVID testing and vaccinations in this podcast, mainly because it's just so what everyone's trying to figure out right now. And you happen to be a little more prepared than others. And that's what we're hearing a lot of with CLIA waivers and things like that. But how has kind of learning to test well, vaccinate well impacted your pharmacy?
Yes, same goes right back to how you're going to take care of your community. You know, so I started out, smart people said 15 years ago, you have to do immunizations. I'm like, oh no, I'm kind of scared about that. I don't know. I know how to do it, but I don't want to do it. Just do it. So I did it. I listened to smart people. That's what you got to do. And so with that, and I did always like brown bag day with my students. And we talked about the preceptor. At that time, I said, okay, we always do a brown bag with, we're going to test A1, or we're going to test, I didn't do A1Cs. It was more just blood sugars or blood pressure or that kind of stuff. So with that, you had to have a CLIA waiver. So I got it. And I just thought every pharmacy had it. Like that was I just thought you had to have it if you were going to do like even the blood sugar. So I had that already, and then immunizations, yes. And then it just kind of led into, if you're doing immunizations for flu, I might as well just do the point of care because I was doing it already. I might as well just strap in flu, which I didn't even know was available till a couple of years ago. So I just bought that BD Veritor and started it up about a year ago, actually. And so I started point of care, but that would be when they would just walk in. And it was not an appointment-based model. It was more like, hey, can I come in? Yeah, sure. Walk-ins welcome. That's what you always say. Walk-ins welcome. You want everybody to walk in. Right. And then COVID hit, right?
Yeah, no kidding. That changed.
Walk-ins not welcome.
Right.
Walk-ins are not welcome.
And everyone's like, I'm not going in there if you're walking in. Right. Yeah.
Come on in for a test. Well, I thought, oh, great. I just did my point of care. And now it's going to tank because I can't even do it. So, and we don't have a drive-through, but we have an alley that goes between like the gas station, this alley, and then the back door of the pharmacy. And so once in a while, if people couldn't come in, we'd open the back door and give it to them, well, that's what it was going to have to happen. We kept it, we're a small enough town that we could keep the doors open, and we did the 6 feet and everyone wear a mask, that kind of thing. I said, well, the BD Veritor, if I can get the test, that when they said that they were coming out with a COVID test, I'm like, that's a no-brainer. I can do that. Well, no-brainer. There's a lot of hiccups. Everybody probably went through it. But CPESN and other ones had like how-tos. So I started listening to them of how they got started. Okay. And part of it was the schedule base. So I started, signed up for this acuity. It was the end of October. And I was just looking back at my calendar, and I'm like, oh, November 1st, I signed up. I signed my husband up just to see how it'd work and put the questions in, and over the weekend, and signed my husband up for a COVID test just to see if it'd work. Okay, that's fine. By Wednesday, I had 6 people, and then they'd call and say, oh, I heard you had it. Boom. Then all of a sudden, I'm like, how am I going to do this and keep my pharmacy staff safe? So I started out of my RV. I told my husband, can we drive the RV and park it by the side of the store? That's so great. And so then everybody thought I was doing it inside the RV, which was kind of chaos. And I had this, I got a ticket from the city saying, hey, you have illegal parking. You're keeping it over. I said, I'm doing COVID testing. I had this handmade sign, COVID testing, you know. So dumb, but you just do what you have to do.
I guess important question. Did you get the ticket taken away?
Did they dismount?
Yeah, they figured it out.
Gosh, yeah, no kidding.
Like illegal parking, public service.
And probably the only place to get a COVID test, maybe.
It was.
In your town. So. Yeah, that guy feels bad.
Yeah, the judge was like,
they did.
You got any of those tests left?
Right. Wow.
But it all worked out. So it really helped me prepare from the COVID testing now to the COVID vaccines. Okay. So I'm able to sign people up and when they're ready and available. So it's just taking care of your community, and you just do it. And if you make mistakes, you just keep going. I got a better sign on my RV.
Got a better sign.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and I guess in the news, everybody's talking about the vaccines, but the other thing that's kind of percolating in the if you read a lot of news about COVID, are the variants in the virus, right? And so there've been a couple where the variant has just been better at transmission, and now they're tracking one out of Brazil where it's both better at transmission and has some surface mutations that allow it to not respond to your antibodies. So, I know it's a rough time right now.
You're trying to scare us? Like, good Lord. All
yes.
Right. It is. The South Africa one. Yeah.
There's a movie called Outbreak with Dustin Hoffman. Yeah. It's starting to look like that.
Goodness.
But I know it's a rough time to think about, next year, but what do you think that means for COVID vaccines now, next year, going forward?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's all, that's why every pharmacy has to do immunizations. So you have to do it. That's going to be your local effort, and you're going to have to do it. I mean, I think if to be sustainable and be able to take care of our communities, that's going to be an ongoing thing. That is not even a doubt in my mind. And it's been so rewarding even doing just regular immunizations, the Tdap, the grandpa and grandma shot. I need to go see my grandkid, just things like that. Yeah. You have to do it. I don't know why people aren't, but they need to.
Yeah. I remember when I was talking to you yesterday a little bit, we were prepping for this, and I think I gave you some percentages. I don't remember the percentages of who all vaccinates that we know of on Pioneer X. And I remember I was like, that could either be surprisingly high or low. She's like, that's low. That's so low.
It's funny.
Well, if I can do it, anyone can do it. So
I was shocked that like it's higher than I bet a lot of places are, but lower than it should be.
Yeah.
You know, like I was hoping 80%,
right?
Not 60%,
right?
Well, and I want the people that aren't doing it is because they're right beside a clinic that has
could be
the capability of doing it. That is fine. Like if you're taking care of your community because it's already taken care of, I don't care. But if you're not doing it because you're scared of it, you hire students, you hire whatever, you just do it.
Nice.
I don't know.
I like it. It's a good soundbite.
Yeah. It's the
if you're not, I think Nike maybe took that over.
That's true. That's true. We might be copyright infringing.
If you're not vaccinating, you're not helping.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. There you go. All right, so do you think this is here every year? Do you think this is a booster every year or something like that? We've been talking about that internally.
Yep.
I do. Yeah. Because coronavirus itself, if you know the back, I mean, it is the cold. They always said, I think I just have a little cold. I go, yeah, that's a coronavirus. It's just that this is a different strain of the old coronavirus, so, people just keep saying, oh, I think I just have a cold. I'm like, you're COVID-19, you're positive. So.
Well, so you said you used Acuity. I don't mind talking about tools. What tools did you use to even build your kind of appointment-based model?
Yeah, I just did Acuity and I hit and miss. I'm not great at it, but if I can do it, anyone can do it too. But then I had other people in the group and CPESN also, they did the JOT form.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Oh, the JOT form. That's right. Those are the two that
those are probably the two most common tools.
Okay. And it seemed like that looked prettier, but then when I tried to print it off, then it still looked the same as my Acuity. So I ended up just doing it through Pioneer, just getting all those questions that I liked and formatted it to a COVID-19 vaccine versus the flu, and then just had a few more boxes to check. So I still like the paper model because then I use that as a prescription for my collaborative practice agreement to give vaccines. I still like it.
That makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I use Acuity still for scheduling, but not as far as I started it out like with all my healthcare workers and my 1A group to do it online, answering all those questions. But you still have to sign a paper that day. Like you can answer all those questions, but it has to be that day.
Yeah, because I guess the other thing, I guess maybe you print it out after they do it, and then they sign that paper that day, right?
Yeah, but it's bigger form than Pioneer. I just have a one pager, so I've really fell in love with that this last 2 weeks. So it's kind of evolved where it had everything online, but you have what's your group like 2A, all those down the line. Online's fine. We get so many people right now that they don't have a computer. They're like, I don't even know how to, kind of like we do with Skype today. The old people.
Yeah, I guess you had that weird like speed bump in there, right? Your 1A is like the younger healthcare workers that are online, no problem. And then your 1B, which is 65 and older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different demographic.
Yeah.
For sure.
So they much rather just be able to answer it. You have to give them readers sometimes, but there you go.
Right. Yeah. Well, I guess the answer is you almost have to be prepared. Like, we're working on a lot of online, really trying to help pharmacies do that quickly, but you have to have both options.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like her tip on have some spare readers. It's true.
Were you referring to reading glasses
glasses.
Like a human to read?
No. You're not yelling at shouting the form
now,
at them.
sometimes I had to do it once. I've already had to read the questions and answer. So that's true. But with COVID, you still have to keep your distance and timing. So that's why I think the walk-ins welcome is not welcome.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
You have to do the scheduling, but you can still do the paper for the answering questions.
So I'm almost seeing like
15-minute waiting.
Like a 1B vaccine setup where you get like a bunch of elderly people in a bingo hall style setting and you just read off the questions and they dob it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's good.
I would play. I love bingo.
So this isn't related to COVID or pharmacy, but I went and played bingo with a friend of mine in college. Her grandma played like every Thursday night or something.
That's good.
And it was a blast.
Dude, they are fun in there. They are fun.
And when one of the younger kids, like one of my friends won, and like the old ladies were unhappy. Like
Oh yeah.
Livid.
Yeah. No, they can kind of get like kind of intense and aggressive.
It was like a territorial, like you're a new person and you won. How dare you?
Yeah. If you're a newbie and you win, oh man, you get some looks. Yeah.
It was great memories. Like I won a whole box of Hershey. You could pick anything from the table. Like when I was a little, when I was probably 8, 9, I actually got to go pick a whole box of Hershey bars.
Dude, a whole box?
Wouldn't like that.
Yeah, what kid wouldn't like that?
I have great memories of bingo.
I'd take that all day.
Yeah. So the bingo model of pharmacy, I like it.
I like it. Good idea.
There was something really satisfying about daubing too.
Yeah. So not to get back to work stuff. Almost made him do a spit take. This is funny. So what kind of like, Scott was telling us last week, it's so different than the flu, trying to give that vaccine, right? I guess if you can talk a little bit about just how much different that really is, and either space or time it takes, whatever.
Well, and it's, with the flu, you'd always say wait around 15 minutes. And this is it's a hard, fast rule. You have to stick around for 15 minutes. And then that's where the scheduling comes in, because you're not going to congregate 20 people
you can't. Mm-hmm.
in a room. And especially where your pharmacy is. So, you go shop for cards, or, so you increase in front end business now.
There you go.
And our counties are doing drive up and then wait, 15 minutes and then go on. And just emotionally, I think like yesterday we did our first 1B group.
Okay.
So satisfying. Like as a pharmacist and my pharmacy student, I actually let him do it. And he was just over the moon. Like, I cannot believe how excited these people are. Very satisfying. Like I left last night going, that was pretty cool, that you're able to do that. And just see the happiness on their faces. Like, I'm going to get out of jail eventually here, from being homebound.
Yes. Yeah.
So emotionally, I think it's way different than the flu.
That's so true. It's a huge, probably like, especially after you've hit your last dose and all that, there's probably a huge lift that maybe I don't have to just stay in my house 24/7. That's true.
Yeah, it's incredible. But getting it yourself, have you guys had it yet?
We have not. We haven't made the groups. We don't qualify for the groups.
Yeah.
We're luckily or not luckily, we're not frontline workers. Like, we're essential. Yeah. We're still in the office, but if it comes down to the way the stuff breaks down, we're not treating patients.
It's kind of a weird thing, because it's like, okay, it's time to take it. And then we're like, oh, there are some side effects. So we've really been telling people that too. It's like, okay, you're going to have side effects with this more than likely. And so it's just your immune response that's, doing this for you. But it's going to be for the end of, you're not making an appointment for the funeral home versus, you're going to stay home a couple of days.
Right.
And that's what's going to do. So just trying to get that, and your arm's going to be sore. It's well worth it.
The second is
so
worse,
it's a different avenue that way. It's not like give the flu shot and go on your way and hopefully it works. And if it's the right strain, well, we know this is the right one for this one, but like Josh was saying, we're going to have
next year. It's different. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're Moderna or Pfizer, your stock prices are looking pretty solid right now.
Jeez.
My son's really big into INO. It's like one of those that, that's coming down the pike too, for eventually the DNA versus the mRNA.
Right.
Okay.
So there's a lot of stuff going.
Moderna is kind of on a hot streak right now. The BioNTech group that did the Pfizer.
Those guys. Yeah, they did the Pfizer one.
They're about to go into some clinical trials for some cancer vaccines that are really impressive. Now that one's
just trying to attack it. It's the same mentality. It's kind of cool. Wow. All those science guys.
I know.
Thank God we have them.
Thank goodness. And really, honestly though, that's really cool. I didn't want to like gloss over this. It was like you letting your student do that test, and it's so rewarding and so like front line, like you're doing something that directly impacts your community right then. You can feel it, right? Like that's so great what you guys are doing, and how much we need that from everybody else.
Right. I've seen a ton of Instagram posts.
Props to all those other people who did it. Look at all those vaccine guys, like you're saying. They did all that work, and we just get to do that. We get to see the whites of their eyes, to see their smiles.
Right.
How lucky are we?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I mean, one of the cool things, and I don't use Instagram for much, but one of the things they do really well is I've seen a lot of healthcare providers, proudly displaying their I've immunized, but I've seen a lot of pharmacy students posting on their, I got to immunize at this clinic today. I think it's going to be one of those things where it foundationally changes what those students do. Like everybody remembers where they were at on 9/11.
Right.
I guarantee you that student's going to remember that on, January 6th, 2021, I gave my first COVID vaccine.
Yeah, I hope so. It's an incredible feeling. And so I was happy that he that's what he said. I'm going to another small community pharmacy. And he said, this is the best experience.
This is what, it's so different. That's so great. Well, Staci, again, thank you for being on, and thank you for what you're doing in the CPESN space in Nebraska, vaccinating your community, everything. As always, it was great to talk to you again.
Yeah, and if you guys are rolling out a new program in Nebraska, let us know. Our team will help and see what we can do and make it more scalable.
If you need some sales, support, give me a call.
Yeah.
We can go bang on some doors, some MTOs. Well, thanks so much. We'll let you have the rest of your day back. And thanks for spending time with us and enjoy your very rewarding work you get to go do.
That's very true. I'm lucky to do it. So,
all right.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Staci.
Thank you.
We'll see you.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching the Catalyst podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider liking, subscribing, and/or following us. Give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts to help us reach more amazing pharmacy people like you. Follow Pioneer RX on your preferred social media platform for the latest up-to-date pharmacy news and content.